First of all, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers, thousands and thousands of times, at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual Gurudev, Asmatiya Paramaradhatama, Guru Pada Padama, Nitya Lila Vishnu, Om Vishnu Pad, Ashtotara Satasri, Rupanugacharya Varya, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Gosvami Maharaj. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshu Goswami Maharaj, to his sannyas disciple also, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, to Param Pujapad Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Goswami Maharaj, to Param Pujapad Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, to Param Pujapad Srila Bhakti Rakshak Shivadev Goswami Maharaj, to all the Nitya Sat Parshada Vrinda, eternal associates of Prabhupada Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, and to our entire Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to Param Pujapad Sri Bhakti Alok Paramadvaiti Goswami Maharaj. Gaur Premanande, to Pujapad Sri Bhaktivedanta Yati Maharaj, and to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Vanchakalpataruvis, Vipasani. By the causeless mercy of Sri Guru and Gauranga, and especially the causeless mercy of Lord Vamana and Srila Jiva Goswami, today we had the great fortune to serve in the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, distributing Sri Prem Naam Sankirtan to millions of people in the center of historical Berlin. Now we have returned to the lotus feet of C.C. Radha Govinda to hear the glories of Srila Jiva Goswami Pada and Sri Vamana Dev. It's very important. Ishwaraya Janma Titi Jehino Pavitra Se Mata Vaishnavera Titira Charitra. Just as the appearance day of Krishna is glorious and pure, so the appearance days of the Vaishnavas also glorious and pure. They must be honored. If there is not a feast, that means a feast of hearing about their transcendental qualities and life history, then it will become a Vaishnava aparad. It's very important to honor all the important appearance and disappearance days of our great acharyas. And today is also the auspicious day of Sri Vamana Maha Dvadashi. So, first of all, we'll offer our Sardha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of Lord Vamadev, and afterwards we'll try to look in the direction of the unlimited glories of Srila Jiva Goswami. Perhaps you know that in the family of demons, Hiranyakashipu, he had a son who was actually a great Mahabhagavat Vaishnava, Prahlad Maharaj. But the son of Prahlad Maharaj was Virochan, and Virochan was a demon. But the son of Virochan was Bali Maharaj, and he was a devotee. So in this way, we cannot put so much faith in a DNA parampara, a parampara which is only a family line. Because you will see, one generation is a demon, one generation is a devotee, and then a demon, then a devotee. So, Bali Maharaj, he was engaged in a battle with the demigods, and he was killed. Bali Maharaj died, he was killed in the battle. But the guru of the demons, named Shukra Acharya, he knew some mantras and tantra to revive the dead, and he brought Bali Maharaj back to life. So when Bali Maharaj was brought back to life by Shukra Acharya, then Bali Maharaj accepted Shukra Acharya as his guru and took shelter of him and his teaching. So, by worshipping Shukra Acharya, who is a great Brahmin, he became very powerful. And by the power of this, he amassed a huge army, and he stormed the gates of heaven, Swargalok, the planet of Indra. So at that time, Bhrigu Muni told Indra, he's too powerful. He has been worshipping the Brahmanas, and by worshipping the Brahmanas, one gets so much power. You cannot defeat him. So it's better that you just vacate heaven and become a refugee. So Indra and all of his associates, they vacated heaven and became refugees. And Bali Maharaj and his demonic army, they took over heaven. So at that time, Kashyapa Rishi, he had been doing austerities. And after doing austerities in the forest for a long time, he came back to his ashram. And when he came back to his ashram, he saw his wife was there crying, "Oh, alas, alas." He has two wives, Diti and Aditi. So Diti is the mother of the demonic race, and Aditi is the mother of the Devatas. So Aditi was crying. And he said, "Why are you crying?" He said, "Because my son Indra and all the Devatas, they've been driven out of heaven. They have lost their home and their opulence, and they've become without shelter anywhere." When Kashyapa Rishi saw this, he was astonished. He said, just see the power of Maya. Why? Because this relation. Oh, I am the son of this person, I am the daughter of this person, I am the husband of this person, I am the wife of this person, I am the brother of this person, I am the sister of this person. All these relationships, they're all Maya, all illusion. Who is your mother? Who is your father? Soul is eternal, and soul has one relationship. Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera Nitya Das. Our relationship is with Krishna eternally. So because Kasyapa Rishi was absorbed in the bhajan previously and free from Maya, when he saw her, he was surprised. Look what happens when you go in Maya illusion. Then you think you have a sambandha with this material world and always lamenting. This is so wrong, this is so bad. Dvaiti bhatta gyan sabha mano dharma. E bala, e manda, e sababram. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that to think that this is good and this is bad, the dualities of this material world, this is mano dharma, the religion of the material mind. It is all a mistake. But still, his wife was very insistent. Please do something. Help. How can I help my children? So then, Kasyapa Rishi said, the only person who can help you is your real husband. His meaning is, I'm not really your husband. Who is your husband? Bhagavan. Everyone is related only with God. So he told her, you should do a vrat called Prayojana vrat for 12 days. Only living on milk, and you should rise early in the morning, take bath, and you should do puja every day to the Supreme Lord Narayan, and he can help you. So she followed this vrat very, very strictly, and when she completed the vrat, then Supreme Lord in a four-handed form appeared before her, and then he disappeared and entered into the heart of Kasyapa. And then from Kasyapa Muni, he was transferred to the womb of Aditi. And then on this day, Vamana Dvadashi, millions and millions of years ago in the Satyuga, Lord Vamandev appeared. Lord Vamandev ki jai! He appeared in a four-armed Narayan form, tall, with a disc club conch and lotus flower, with a crown and Kaustuva money, all the ornaments of the Supreme Lord. But then, he, just as an actor on a stage, can play different roles. Just by changing his bhav, he changed his roop. So there and then, the four-armed form of Narayan became a very small and beautiful dwarf Brahmin boy. All the devatas came and worshipped him, giving him various paraphernalia of a brahmachari. Lord Brahma gave him a water pot, another person gave him a deer skin, another person gave an umbrella, a parasol, and now he was beautifully present before everyone as the dwarf Brahmin avatar, Lord Vamandev. So then, Lord Vamandev, he heard that at the moment, to get more power, Bali Maharaj was doing a very big Ashwamedha Yagya, horse sacrifice. So, the Supreme Lord set off in the form of this Brahmin boy. And he entered into the Yagya arena of Bali Maharaj. So Bali Maharaj was very famous for giving charity. And he honored Lord Vamandev and told him, please request from me whatever you want. I can give you gold, I can give you jewels, I can give you a Brahmin wife, I can give you so many wives, I can give you so many villages even. Ask from me. Anyone who asks from me should be satisfied for their whole life, just by asking once. So then Lord Vamandev said, please give me only 3 paces of land by the measurement of my own steps. Bali Maharaj said, what you have said is very commendable, but I am the emperor of the universe. You should not ask for such a small and insignificant thing from me. You should ask in such a way that for your whole life you will never be in want of anything. Lord Vamana said, "Oh Bali Maharaj, a person who is self-controlled is satisfied with whatever comes to them automatically in their life. They don't need more than that. What comes automatically by fate, by his karma, he's satisfied with that. He does not want more. On the other hand, a person whose mind is not self-controlled, whose senses are not controlled, who is not Atmaram, self-satisfied, he cannot be satisfied even if he were to be given all the sense objects in the entire universe. He would still not be satisfied. So this satisfaction, this is the true nature of the Brahmanas. So then, Lord Vamana said, you should do Achaman. Do Achaman 3 times. Om Keshavaya Namah, Om Narayana Namah, Om Madhavaya Namah. Before you make a promise, you have to do Achaman. Just like before we remember our Diksha mantras, Gayatri mantras in the morning, noon and evening, you should sit down and do Achaman first, because you are promising to Swaha, surrender at the lotus feet of your Ishtadev. So Lord Vamana said, do Achaman 3 times and promise you that you give me 3 steps of land. So Bali Maharaj was just about to do that when suddenly his guru Shukracharya came. He said, don't do it. Don't promise. He said, but I have already told him I would give 3 steps of land. Shukracharya said, no, no, no. You have to understand the essence of the scriptures. The scriptures say that your words are only binding if you say Om first and then you speak. But because you did not say Om first, then you can go back on your words and it will not be a lie. Bali Maharaj, I cannot accept this conclusion. Shankaracharya said, look, I know that you want to be truthful, but you have to understand that according to the scriptures, truthfulness cannot become fully perfect without a touch of untruth. This is the guru of the demons. Truthfulness can never be fully perfected without just a little pinch of untruth. For example, in the scriptures it is said, when it is bona fide to not tell the truth. Number 1, when you are flattering a woman. Oh, do you like my new hairstyle? Oh, it's amazing. This is the first time you can tell a lie, according to Shukracharya in Srimad Bhagavatam. The second time is at a wedding ceremony. If you're the best man at the wedding ceremony and you have to give a speech glorifying the bridegroom, you can tell a lie then. That's also acceptable. Another situation is if a cow or a brahmana are in danger. If a cow or a brahmana is running away, then you see a madman coming with an axe and they say, which way did that cow go? So the cow went that way, the cow went that way. So it's a lie, but you can do it. And in this way, the truth only becomes perfected by a little bit of untruth. Bali Maharaj was not convinced by these arguments of his guru. So then Shukracharya said, look, this is not a Brahmin dwarf. This is Lord Vishnu himself. He's come on behalf of the demigods, the devatas, your enemies. And he's come here to steal away everything from you. So don't agree, don't take the Achaman and make this vow. So then Bali Maharaj, being the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj, by the association of his not his father who was a demon, but by the association of his grandfather, he'd become a great devotee. And he thought, what is the most important thing? Athapumbi vidya shrista vanashrama vibhagasha swanustitasya dharmasya samsiddhi haritoshanam. The perfection of all duties for all persons, whether they are brahmacharis, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyas, whether they are brahmanas, kshatriya, vaishyas or sudra, is simply samsiddhi haritoshanam, to satisfy the Supreme Lord. So if this is actually the Supreme Lord, and He wants to give me He wants me to give Him 3 steps, and He'll be satisfied by that, then this is the perfection. This is what we should do. Chajo prita pralada vibhishana bhatra bharat mahatahari guru bali chajo kanta prajabanita bhaya jagamangalakari. In Ramcharitmanas, there, Sri Tulsidas Goswami, he's saying that the supreme dharma is to surrender to Sri Krishna, even if it means going against the material dharmas of this world. So what is the example? Chajo pita pralada vibhishana bandho bharat mahatari. Prahlad Maharaj rejected the order of his father Hiranyakashipu to give up Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu's word, hearing, chanting and remembering about Krishna. Chajo Prita Prahlada, Vibhishana. Vibhishan gave up his brother Ravan for the sake of Lord Ram. Bharat Mahatari, Bharat, the brother of Lord Ram, rejected his mother Kaikeyi because she had ostensibly demanded that Lord Ram not be coronated but go to the forest in exile. Guru Bali Chajo, Bali Maharaj rejected his guru even. All Shastra said, never, never, never reject your guru. But if a person has such a guru who is not a Shuddha Vaishnava, who is going against Krishna and giving teachings against Krishna, then disciple should reject that guru. Because guru should be Sakshat Haritvaina Samasta Shastra, direct representation of Krishna. How can the Sadhguru give an instruction which is against the instructions of Krishna? In Gita, Krishna said, Sarva Dharmam Pratyadya Mamekam Shanam Braja. Abandon all dharma and just surrender to me. And now Shukracharya is telling Bali Maharaj, don't surrender to God. So Bali Maharaj rejected his guru, Shukracharya, and also Kanta Brajabanita Bhayajagamangalakari. All scriptures say a wife should serve and follow the husband. But gopis have rejected their husbands to serve Sri Krishna. And by all these acts of devotion, which transgress mundane dharma, but embody the Sanatan dharma, Jiva dharma, Prema dharma, Bhagavat dharma, the transcendental dharma of the soul, that is Krishna Prema, love for God. So, Bali Maharaj rejected the order of his guru. Then his guru was desperate. Bali Maharaj picked up the Achaman cup which had a spout, and he poured a drop of water into his hand. Om Keshavaya Namaha. He poured another drop of water into his hand. Om Narayana Namaha. And he went to pour the next drop of water into his hand. And then Shukracharya, who has all siddhis, mystic powers, by his mystic power, he turned himself into a fly. He was flying around, and to stop Bali Maharaj from being able to do the Achamana the third time, the fly flew into the spout of the Achamana cup. And he was blocking the hole. So Bali Maharaj was trying to pour, but no water came out. So then he asked one servant, oh, please bring me a straw from the broom. So a servant pulled out a straw from the broom, and Bali Maharaj took that straw and put it down the spout of the Achamana cup, like that, and it went straight into the eye of Shukracharya. So now Shukracharya only has one eye, he's blind in one eye. That means he reads the Shastra, but he sees only the material side, not the spiritual side. He interprets it in a material way, not in a spiritual way. He sees those statements related to karma, but not those statements related to bhakti. So he poked Shukracharya out of the hole, and then he finished, Om Madhavaya Namaha. I promise to give you, I will give 3 steps of that. As soon as he said this, then Lord Vamandev expanded himself into a huge form. In one step, he took the earth and all the lower planets. In his second step, he took the entire, all the higher planets. So now he had taken the whole universe. And then he said, oh, Bali Maharaj, you said you would give me 3 steps. Where can I keep my 3rd step? So then, Bali Maharaj, seeing that Lord Vamandev he did not exactly become big, only he revealed that he himself is this universe. That is his Virat Roop. People say, where is God? The question is wrong. The real question is, where is not God? Supreme Lord is everywhere, in everything. Already he's covering the whole universe. So Lord Vamandev, by his steps, 2 steps, he covered the universe. That means that he revealed that he was already everywhere. Everything belongs to him. What will you give to God? This the box here, this is not a donation box. This is not a donation box, because you cannot donate to God because nothing belongs to you. Isha vasamidam sarvam. Only you are thinking this is mine. When you put that money in the donation box, you just give up the ego of a thief. That you are stealing from God, and now you say, actually, this is yours. And put it in the box. So, you cannot give a donation to God. You can only stop being a liar and a thief. Understand? So that's why the box is called the Pranami. Pranami. Pra means prakrista. In the most excellent way. Nami. Na means liberty, to give up. And me means ahankar, ego. In a very excellent way, I am giving up my ego, my concept of I and mind related to the body and mind, and I am being blessed by this chance to perform some service. So, then Lord Vamandev said, oh, you will not give me the place for my 3rd step? He said, no, my Lord, you can place your 3rd step on my head. Then Lord Vamandev put his lotus foot on the head of Bali Maharaj. So Bali Maharaj became so glorious because all the devatas and all the demons, what to speak of them, even all the devatas, they did not get the touch of the lotus feet of the Lord on their head. So he became so glorious. But then Lord Vamandev, even though Bali Maharaj had surrendered everything to him, he bound him up with snake ropes and said, you have told a lie, and for this lie you have to go down to the lower planets. So then all the demoniac soldiers of Bali Maharaj, they attacked Lord Vamandev to kill him. But Lord Vamandev didn't have to do anything, because his associates from Vaikuntha, like Jai and Vijay, they appeared there and began to slaughter all the demonic soldiers. And they wiped them all out completely. So this is very interesting. Why? Because Jai and Vijay had been cursed by the 4 Kumaras to take birth in the material world in 3 births. Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, Bali Maharaj's grandfather, then later as Kumbhakarna and Ravana, and then again as Shishupal and Dantavakra. So this pastime of Bali Maharaj is in between the first incarnation, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, and the second incarnation, the Kumbhakarna and the Ravana. So, how can Jai and Vijay come from Vaikuntha suddenly and fight with all the demonic soldiers if they're supposed to be in this world? The truth of the matter is that Jai and Vijay did not fall to this world. They remained always in Vaikuntha, so they could come to the aid of Lord Vamandev. But they expanded themselves, and in their expanded forms they came to this world to give a teaching to everyone of the dangers of Vaishnava Aparad. This is the teaching. This is the most terrible thing. Under no circumstances whatsoever should we ever offend, minimize, criticize any devotee of Krishna. And that's not only, oh well, he's not a pure devotee. No. Any devotee of Krishna. Even devotee who falls down again and again, Krishna still thinks he's a sadhu. If he's one pointed in my service, apichat sudaratro bhajate mamananyava sadhureva samantavya samak vyavahito hi saha kontya pratijanahi name bhakta pranashati. Anyone who's serving Krishna, but not serving any devatas, Kali, Durga, Ganesh and all, but one pointed to Krishna, Krishna accepts that person as a sadhu. One should be very careful not to offend or minimize them in any way. So, this is why Jai and Vijay could appear at that time. So then, Lord Vamandev said, you have to go down to Nirai. So in Sanskrit, the word Nirai means hell. You have to go to Nirai, hell. But in Sanskrit, the letter R and the letter L are interchangeable with each other. So Nirai can also mean Nilai. So Nilai means the abode of the Supreme Lord. So he said, you have to go to Nirai, hell, meant you have to go to my abode. That means Bali Maharaj will go to Vaikuntha after living for millions of years till the end of this universe in the Sutal Lok, one of the lower planets. So even though the Vitalatal, Rasatal, Patal, Sutal, these lower planets are below the earth, by the will of the Supreme Lord, just by his desiring it, Lord Vamandev just desired it, and the Sutal planet became the same as Vaikuntha, transcendental and superior in all respects to Indra's planet even. So it is, don't think that Lord Vamandev took everything away from Bali Maharaj, took heaven away from him and sent him down to the lower planets. But actually, he took away the inferior heaven and gave him the superior place, because by his wish Sutal became the far superior. So the one may say, well, why is he being punished? Because he gave a place for the third step. So Lord Vamandev said, you have told a lie. What was that lie? The lie was, I will give. This was his lie. I will give. You cannot give. There is nothing which is yours. Everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. Your soul belongs to the Supreme Lord. Only the conception that something is independent, swatantra vastu, that there is a swatantra vastu, anything independent from God, this idea is Maya. You can give up the absorption in Maya, but you cannot give anything to God. So for this lie, saying, I will give, you have to go down to Nirai, means Nilai. So then, by the curse, which is really a blessing of Lord Vamandev, then Bali Maharaj went down to the Sutal planetary lok with his associates. Shukracharya and the other demons who hadn't been killed were there. And Lord Vamandev said to Shukracharya, oh, I came here when the yajna of Bali Maharaj was going on, but now the yajna of Bali Maharaj has been completely disrupted. So you should chant all the mantras and do all the ceremonies to correct this fault in the yajna so that the yajna can be completed. So then Shukracharya, his heart had become softened. And Shukracharya said to Lord Vamandev, Mantra tas tantra tas chidram deshakal atavastutaha sarvam karoti nischidram harinamanu ansankirtanam tava. Sarvam karoti nischidram nama sankirtamam tava. He said, oh my Lord, it may be that this yajna has been disrupted and there are many faults in this yajna because of this disruption. However, mantra tas tantra tas chidram, whatever fault is there, if someone chants a mantra who does tantra, some ritual in an incorrect way, if there's any fault, kala deshaha, vastuta, any fault in the ingredients, in the time or the place, then sarvam karoti nischidram, you can remove all of these faults just by one thing. Nama Sankirtanam Tava, just by Harinam Sankirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So by Harinam Sankirtan, everything becomes perfect. So this pastime of Lord Vamana is very, very wonderful, very beautiful. Lord Vamana said to Bali Maharaj, I want to give you a benediction. You can ask from me whatever you want. Now it was the other way around, because Bali Maharaj said that to him before. Bali Maharaj said, I want to ask you for one benediction, but you must promise 3 times. So he promised. He said, please become my Dwarpal, the protector of my door. So in Sutal planetary system, in the abode of the Bali Maharaj, Vamandev became his doorman and protector there. So it looks as if Vamandev cheated Bali Maharaj, but Bali Maharaj, by his love, captured Lord Vamandev, and now Lord Vamandev, he was living with him in the Sutal planetary lok. So that means that he's always there with him. Lord Vamandev, sometimes he has appeared in heaven, and sometimes he goes there to give his darshan to Aditi and to Indra. But when he comes flying on the back of Garuda, then Indra does puja, and then Vamandev flies away. And Indra says, oh, everyone knows that he's my younger brother, but the truth is that when he comes, he can't wait to leave. He does not get out of the car. Right? If you go to visit someone but you don't even get out of your car, that means you don't want to see them, right? So he doesn't even get off the back of Guru. That means really he doesn't want to see me. But he's always staying in the abode of Bali Maharaj in Sutalok. So one day, Bali Maharaj was in his court, and one old lady came there and she was crying. Bali Maharaj said, oh, don't cry. Why are you upset? You are a Brahmini, you are a Brahmin lady. So I'll give you anything you want. You can ask for me anything you want. And then that old Brahmin lady said, will you give me whatever I want? He said, yes. Then that old Brahmin lady said, promise 3 times. Then Bali Maharaj was thinking, oh, I heard this before. And then she manifested her form. It was Lakshmi Devi. She said, I want my husband back. Because Lord Vamana is the husband of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. So then what can Lord Vamana do? So he expanded himself. And in one form, he stayed with Bali Maharaj in Sutalok. And in another form, he went back to be with Lakshmi in Vaikunta. So, now, in this history of Lord Vamana, there's a very, very practical and important teaching for all of us. What is that? You see, Bali Maharaj, he didn't do anything wrong. The Lord came, he asked for something, he promised to give it, but still the Lord said, you're a liar, you have gone against Dharma, I'm going to tie you up, I'll push you down to Nirai, to hell. But what did Bali Maharaj do? He did not do anything wrong, but still the Lord provoked him, tried to provoke him by dealing with him in an unjust way. But at that time, when everything which was unfair and against Bali Maharaj took place, Bali Maharaj didn't argue. He didn't try to fight back. He didn't try to defend himself by his deeds or by his words or even by his thoughts. Even when he was tied up with the snake ropes, just in his mind he was thinking, oh my Lord, I bow down to you in my mind, because physically I cannot bow down because you just tied me up with snakes. So even when he was provoked And he'd done nothing wrong, but still he continued to serve, and by this he captured the heart of Bhagavan. So you have to be like this in your life. Even if you do something wrong, you get a punishment. And you may be able to accept it. But if you are doing everything right, but still, Supreme Lord makes problems in your life, one after another, then you should not think, oh, it's not fair. Why is Krishna doing this to me? You should think, Tattenu kampam susamikshamano punjana ivatma kritam vipakam ridvad vapudbi bidadam namaste jivetyo mutipade sadayabak. Lord Brahma has said, that person who accepts all these sufferings and difficulties of life and thinks it's my own fault. This is the fruit of my own misdeeds. That is my Atmakritam Vipakam. It is the Vipak, the maturity of my Atmakrita, my own activities has come back to me. But I deserve much worse than this. But Supreme Lord is so kind, He's giving only a small token reaction of my misdeeds. You should think if one day you cut your finger, actually you should have cut off your head. But by the mercy of the Lord, only your finger was cut. So a person who thinks everything, even the difficulties and problems of life, they are Krishna's mercy. And there's nothing to blame to him. And with body, mind and words, that person continuously prays, glorifies and bows down to the Supreme Lord. Then, for that person, the lotus feet of Krishna become his inheritance. That means that, let's say your father is very wealthy, so all that wealth will come to you. There's nothing more for you to do, it will come to you. It's only a matter of time. When the father passes away, now that's your wealth. So in the same way, for a person who has this humble attitude within the chaos, the difficulties, the vicissitudes, the outrageous, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune in this world, then that person who remains calm, never blames God, who always takes the blame on himself and continuously glorifies Krishna, it's only a matter of time before the lotus feet of Krishna become his property. So this is one of the very deep and important teachings for all of us. Never forget this jewel. Lord Vaman Dev ki jai, Sri Vaman Dvadashi Mahotsava ki jai, Gaur Premanande. Now we come to Srila Jiva Goswami. On this day, in the year 1511, that is 1 year after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was 24 years old, left Navadvip, accepted sannyas and went to Puri. So 1 year after Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas, in the village of Ramkeli in West Bengal, as the son of Anupam Malik, one very high government minister in the government of the Emperor Nawab Hussain Shah, he had a son, and that son, his name was Jiva. Jiva was very lucky to be born as the son of Anupam Malik, because his the uncles, he had 2 uncles also, his father's brothers, they became famous in the world as Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatana Goswami. So he's the nephew of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. So, just when he was a little baby, only some years later, when he was about 5 or 6 years old, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from the Puri made his first attempt to go to Vrindavan. And on that attempt, he came to the village of Ramkeli. And Rupa Sanatan and Anupam is also known by his spiritual name Vallabha. They came to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and young Jiva's father came with his child and said, oh, bow down. and he put his head at the feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But then, from his childhood, after that, he never saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again, directly, in that way. But what happened? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told his uncles and father also, you should renounce your government service and come and meet with me in Vrindavan. So Sanatana Goswami was arrested, he was in jail, but Rupa Goswami and Anupam Malik, Vallabha, they quickly gave away their money in charity, and they kept some behind for the education of young Jiva, so they would have top first-class education in Sanskrit grammar, kavya, poetry, and Saddarshans and so on, and Srimad Bhagavatam. So when they left home, then the young boy Jiva, losing his father and two uncles, he also became overwhelmed with a spirit of vairagya, detachment from this world. He was like a prince, such a wealthy family, dressed in silk cloth and jewels. But when his father and uncles left home, he gave up the silk cloth, he gave up the jewels, and dressed very simply in white cloth, like a Vaishnava. And he used to have deities of Krishna Balaram, and he would worship them every day. And when young Jiva used to bow down to Krishna Balaram, love would flow from his eyes. He gradually grew to be a young man, and he was very learned, very intelligent, expert in Sanskrit grammar and poetics and philosophy. And one night he had a dream, and in that dream he saw the Harinam Sankirtan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he never physically met Mahaprabhu again, but sometimes in a spurti, in a vision, he would see Mahaprabhu. And when he saw this dream, when Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Srivas Thakur, Gadadhar Pandit, and all their associates in Nam Sankirtan disappeared from his dream, he was feeling great anxiety of separation. He could not stay at home any longer. Already he would not sleep in his comfortable silken bed. He used to sleep on the floor because of his strong spirit of vairagya. But now even he could not sleep on the floor in the house. And he left alone. And from Ramkali he set out and went to Navadvip Dham. There in Navadvip Dham, he arrived at the house of Srivas Thakur. And who happened to be at the house of Srivas Thakur at that time? Paripavana Paramadaya Prema Data Padmavati Kumar Sri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. The young Jiva fell at the feet of Nityananda Prabhu, and Nityananda Prabhu placed his lotus feet on his head. Jiva was crying and crying. Nityananda Prabhu told him, actually I was staying in Kardaha. You know, later Nityananda Prabhu, after his marriage to Janava Thakurani and Vasudha Devi, he went to live in Kardaha. So Nityananda Prabhu said, I have come all the way from Kardaha only to see you. And then Nityananda Prabhu took the young Jiva on the first Navadvip Dham Parikrama, the circumambulation of the 9 islands of Navadvip. So that beautiful pastime has been described by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the very beautiful poem Navadvip Dham Mahatya. Every year we're doing parikrama of Navadvip through 9 islands and following the bhav of Jiva Goswami under the guidance of Nityananda Prabhu. So after doing the parikrama of Navadvip, then Nityananda Prabhu told Jiva, you have to go now to Vrindavan. Jiva said, oh, I want to stay here in Navadvip with you eternally. Why do you have to go to Vrindavan? Because Vrindavan in Navadvip are non-different. Navadvip is not different from Vrindavan. Sri Goda Mandala Bhumi Jeva Jani Chintamani Tara hoy Brajabhumi bas. If someone accepts that the dust of Navadvip Dham is the same as the dust of Brajmandal, then they'll discover that they are already in Brajmandal. Jiva Goswami said, yes, it's true. But still, there is a great benefit of being in Vrindavan, because there, Yamuna Devi, Giriraj Govardhan, Shama Kund, Radha Kund, Seva Kunj, Nidhuvan, Dir Samir, Bansi Bhat, all these places are directly manifest. And they will be a great udipana, stimulate your bhav. So I want you to first go from here to Kashi, to Banaras. And there you should study Vedanta and Saddarshan, Vedanta Sutra and 6 classical philosophies under the guidance of Madhusudan Vachaspati. And then from there you should go to Vrindavan. Your 2 uncles, Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis, are there. You should be under their guidance and shelter. If you do this, you will attain all perfection. So then, though Jiva Goswami's heart was broken that he had to leave Nityananda and Navadvip Dham, but he set out and went to Kashi. Now a question comes, why did he have to go and study under the great scholar in Banaras, Kashi, Madhusudan Vachaspati? The reason is this. Various acharyas of the 4 sampradayas, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, Vishwaswami and Nimbakacharya, have written commentary on Vedanta Sutra. But what is the explanation of Vedanta? Given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu has not written any books. We only have Shikshastakam, Chaitodarpanamarjanam, to Aslishyava Padartam Panastumam, 8 verses from Mahaprabhu. And we can also include Naham Viprona Chanarpati, the Bhuchudi mantra. So Mahaprabhu has not written any books on Vedanta. So who will know exactly, precisely, and for certain, what is Mahaprabhu's explanation of Vedanta? So when Mahaprabhu spoke his explanation of Vedanta Sutra to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya for 7 days and nights continuously in Jagannath Puri, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's disciple was there, and it was Madhusudan Vachaspati. So he also had heard Mahaprabhu's explanation of Vedanta. Afterwards, Mahaprabhu had sent him go to Banaras and teach there, because it's full of scholars of Vedanta. So now Jiva Goswami was going there to learn from the person who has learned from the disciple of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was instructed directly by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. So Jiva Goswami went there and studied for some time, and then from there Srila Jiva Goswami came to Vrindavan and he received Diksha, initiation, from his uncle Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami, he is the guru of our whole sampradaya. We are Rupanuga Gaudiya Parampara. But Srila Rupa Goswami has only one Diksha disciple, and that was Jiva Goswami. So there, in what is now the compound of the Radha Damodar temple, Rupa Goswami was writing his books, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Ujjala Nilamani, Lalit Madhav, Vidagdha Madhav, Dan Keli, Komadi, and Stavamala, and so many beautiful texts. And Jiva was there, and Rupa Goswami asked him, you can be the editor. So you should read, proofread everything, check everything, and then it can be copied. In those days, publishing means copying manuscripts. So every day, Jiva Goswami was bowing down at the feet of Rupa Goswami, washing his lotus feet. There's a place in the Radha Damodar temple, which is the place where Jiva Goswami used to wash the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami every day and drink the Charanamrita. And even today you can go and take the dust from that place. And in this way, he was lovingly serving his Guru and receiving all transcendental inspiration. Actually, Srila Rupa Goswami is the incarnation of the chief of the maidservants of Srimati Radhika in the group of Lalita Sakhi, that is Rupa Manjari. And Jiva Goswami is Rupa Manjari's very dearest Sakhi, Vilas Manjari. But in this world, they played the role of guru and disciple, of sadhakas to show us the path of pure bhakti. One day, a very famous and powerful acharya named Vallabha Bhatta came to Vrindavan. And he visited Rupa Goswami. They knew each other because they had met previously, both in Aralgaon, near Prayag, and in Jagannath Puri. See, Vallabha Bhatta said, "Oh, Rupa, what are you writing?" He said, "Oh, I am writing Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Can I have a look?" "Yes, of course. If there's any mistake, you can correct it." So Rupa Goswami, out of humility, said, "If there's any mistake, please correct it." So then Vallabha Bhatta looked at him. He was reading for some time. He said, yes, I'll tell you whatever needs to be corrected." So then Jiva Goswami heard this. What is he saying? He's saying, "My Gurudev has made some mistake. This is not good." So then Vallabha Bhatta, he went to take bath in the Jamuna, and young Jiva Goswami, on the pretext of taking a clay pot to collect some water for his Gurudev, went there, and on the bank of the river he confronted him. He said, "What did you see that you correct in the writings of my Gurudev?" He said he has written this verse, "Bhukti mukti priya yavat pisichiri divatate," that Mukti Devi, the goddess of liberation, she's a pishach, she's a witch. But there are many saints, there are many sadhus who are doing meditation and austerities to attain mukti. How can he call Mukti Devi a witch? Jiva said, he did not say that Mukti Devi is a witch. Bhukti mukti spriya yavat pisachi ridivartate. He said, as long as the witch of the desire for sense gratification or the desire for liberation, nirvana, mukti, is there in the heart, as long as that is there, then Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotion, can never enter into the heart of that person. When Vallabhacharya was corrected in this way, he's also a humble and great Vaishnava. He was very happy. And he, after taking bath, he went back to Rupa Goswami. He didn't say anything. He said, "You know, your disciple is very learned and very qualified," and he glorified Jiva. But when Rupa Goswami heard him glorifying Jiva, then Rupa Goswami understood. Afterwards, he said, he told in front of Vallabhacharya, "Oh, you have done wrong. You cannot keep your calm and cool head. Why are you not respectful to a very senior and learned acharya and scholar?" So he did this to make sure that Vallabha Bhatta would not feel pinched in his heart in any way. Just see the behavior of the pure Vaishnavas. And then afterwards he told Jiva, "You should leave Vrindavan. Go. Because that person who takes pleasure in humiliating others, or that person who wants to assert his own self-worth, has no place in transcendental Vrindavan. You cannot stay calm, you should leave Vrindavan." So then Jiva Goswami was broken-hearted, and he left from Vrindavan. He went north and came to the bank of the river just north of Vrindavan. There's a place there called Nandaghat. And there at Nandaghat, we go there sometimes on Prajmana program also. So there at Nandaghat, there was a hole in the bank of the river where a crocodile used to live. But the crocodile had left, and Jiva went there and he was living in that crocodile hole. He was not eating, he was not sleeping, he was just crying all the time. "Oh Gurudev, oh Gurudev, Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Kono Era Se Channan Peksha Atina Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Kono Era Se Channan Peksha Atina Yogata vichare, kichu nahi paye, tumhara karuna sara. By which I can become more humble than a blade of grass. When I examine myself, I see that I have no good qualities at all. Therefore, O Gurudev, your mercy is essential to me. If you will not give your mercy to me, I will weep and weep. And prana naraki boha, I will give up my pran. In this way, Jiva Goswami was crying day and night. The local residents, Brijbasis there, they saw this young sadhu. Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad used to do parikrama, wandering from forest to forest. And he came there. Some Brijbasis, some villages told him, "Oh, Bada Baba," they call him the big Baba, he's the most senior of the Goswami. "Oh, Bada Baba, we always used to think that you were very renounced. But now there's one new young Baba staying here, Chota Baba. And this Chota Baba, he's more renounced even than you. He does not eat or sleep at all. He's crying all the time, chanting all the time." Sanatana Goswami said, "Really? You show me." Now Jiva Goswami had become very sick. And he could hardly move. Even he was very sick. So Sanatana Goswami went there and saw the condition of Jiva Goswami. And his heart melted. So he picked up Jiva Goswami. And he brought him back to Vrindavan. And he kept him in one place. Then he went to Sevakunj. And there, Rupa Goswami was giving Bhagavad Part, speaking about Srimad Bhagavatam. Sanatana Goswami is the guru of Rupa Goswami. He came there, he said, "Hey Rup, I think that you are giving a very learned discourse, but you have forgotten the teachings, the main teachings of our Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu." Rupa Goswami said, "What? What have I forgotten?" He said, "What are the teachings of Mahaprabhu?" Rupa Goswami said, "First, Name Ruchi. One should develop taste in chanting the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare." Then, our Lord Mahaprabhu's next teaching, Jiva Doya, to give mercy to all the living entities. Sanatana Goswami said, this is you have forgotten. Jiva Doya, to give mercy to Jiva. So then Srila Sanatana Goswami bought Jiva Goswami. And when Rupa Goswami saw his disciple in such a pitiful condition, very, very ill, then Rupa Goswami was bathing him and giving him medicine and feeding him, serving him and nourishing him with his own hands until he came back to health again. So here, just see, today is the appearance of Lord Vamandev and also the appearance of Jiva Goswami. There's a connection. Because Balinarj did not do anything wrong. But Lord Vamandev punished him. But then rewarded him. When he saw that he could not be provoked in any way. So in the same way, did Jiva Goswami do anything wrong? No. Why? Because it is the duty of the disciple to uphold the dignity and the fame of their Gurudev. Ebe asha gushuk tribubana, ebe asha gushuk tribubana. Srila Narottam Das Thakur said, "Oh Gurudev, may your fame be spread throughout the 3 worlds." So Srila Jiva Goswami has done the right thing to uphold the dignity, the reputation of his spiritual master. So did Rupa Goswami do the wrong thing by chastising him? No. Rupa Goswami has not done wrong. Because it is the prerogative of the Guru to give the shasan, discipline, to the shishya. Disciple in Sanskrit is the shishya. And so shasan, to give discipline to the disciple. It is the prerogative of Guru. And if the Guru can give some chastisement to the disciple if he does wrong, and if the disciple doesn't do wrong, he can still chastise him. Why? Because false ego is there. And there's one thing that the false ego cannot tolerate. If someone corrects you for doing wrong, very often people cannot tolerate being corrected even when they do wrong, to be honest. But if someone has not done wrong and they become chastised for doing something wrong, then the false ego explodes like atom bomb. Oh, this is so wrong, this is so bad. So sometimes the Guru will chastise the disciple when he's even not done anything wrong to purify him of the last traces of ahankar, ego. So, of course, Jiva Goswami is a pure devotee, but this pastime is there to teach us. So, Srila Jiva Goswami did nothing wrong, Srila Rupa Goswami did nothing wrong. But Srila Jiva Goswami did not go against his spiritual master for this apparently unfair treatment. And by this, he won the heart of Rupa Goswami. And this is why, when he was in that cave, then he was writing on palm leaves. And what did he begin to write? Gopal Champu. In other words, in those days where outwardly he was rejected by his Guru, but really he was not rejected. He was burning in separation from Rupa Goswami. Oh Gurudev, please give your mercy to me. And the mercy of Srila Rupa Goswami came in the heart of Jiva Goswami, and he realized all the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and that he has written down in Gopal Champu. So Srila Jiva Goswami is the most prolific of all the Goswamis. Perhaps you know that Srila Vyasadeva has written the Mahabharata. The Mahabharata has 100,000 verses. You can put the Iliad and the Odyssey of Homer inside the Mahabharata 7 times. It is such a vast epic. But Srila Jiva Goswami has written 400,000 verses. 4 times the size of the Mahabharata Srila Jiva Goswami has written. By the mercy of his Guru, he was relishing Srimad Bhagavatam so much. He wrote a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, explaining the Praman Tattva, the Sambandha Gyan, that is called Tattva Sandarbha. Then he wrote another commentary, explaining the Bhagavad Tattva, called Bhagavad Sandarbha. Then he wrote another commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, explaining about the Paramatma, Paramatma Sandarbha. Then he wrote another commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, explaining Krishna Tattva, Krishna Sandarbha. Then he wrote another commentary on each of those 4 commentaries, called Sarva Samvadini. 8 commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam. He wrote Bhakti Sandarbha, 9. Then he wrote Priti Sandarbha, explaining the prema expressed by all the various devotees in Srimad Bhagavatam, especially the gopis of Vrindavan and Srimati Radhika. Then he wrote Kram Sandarbha, which is a commentary verse by verse on Srimad Bhagavatam. And then he wrote Gopal Champu, which is another combination of prose and poetry, expanding and unpacking all the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. 10th canto only. Pastimes of Sri Krishna in a wonderful way. So he had so much taste in Srimad Bhagavatam, he could not stop writing again and again and again, always new, always fresh. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took initiation in Gaya, And he came back to Navadvip. Now he was no longer Nimai Pandit. Now he was Bhavuk Nimai, Rasik Nimai. And when he came in his Sanskrit school, he could no longer explain Sanskrit grammar according to Panini. But rather he was explaining every letter signifies Krishna. Every grammatical rule signifies Krishna. So by the inspiration of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jiva Goswami wrote Mahaprabhu's own explanation of Sanskrit grammar that is called Sri Harinamamrita Vyakaranam. It's very beautiful. Jiva Goswami himself said that studying Sanskrit grammar is like going through a dry desert with no water. Very difficult and no taste. Therefore, I have composed this Harinamamrita Vyakaranam, how you can learn Sanskrit grammar by chanting the holy names. So by this, Srila Jiva Goswami has done a great service to the Vaishnava world. Narayanat Bhuttoyam Bhana Kramaha. We can't go into this. On another day we can discuss the Harinamamrita Vyakaranam. Very beautiful. So also he wrote the poem Sankalpa Kalpa Dhamma and commentaries on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu called the Durgam Sangamani Tika, and he wrote a commentary on Ujjwal Nilamani called Lochan Lochani Tika, and he also wrote a commentary on Brahma Samhita. So Srila Jiva Goswami is the most prolific of all the Gaudiya Goswamis. Now we come to the next generation. After some time, Rupa Goswami, when Rupa Goswami left this world, Srila Jiva Goswami became the head of the Vishva Vaishnava Raj Sabha. He was the most prominent Vaishnava, Gaudiya Vaishnava in the whole world. So the other gurus, they were sending their Diksha disciples to go and take Shiksha from Jiva Goswami, because he was the most learned person. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami sent his disciple Srinivasacharya to study from Srila Jiva Goswami. Sri Vrigai Chaitanya sent his disciple Dukhi Krishna, who later became Shyamananda Pandit, to study under Jiva Goswami. And Srila Lokanath Das Goswami sent his disciple Srila Narottam Das Thakur to study under Srila Jiva Goswami. So when Srila Jiva Goswami's most of his writing was complete, he compiled it all together with the writings of Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and he gave those manuscripts to Narottam, Srinivas and Shyamananda and told them, now you should all go preaching. Go to Bengal, Orissa, Manipur, and have all these books copied and distributed everywhere. So Srila Jiva Goswami Pad is the root of all transcendental book distribution. On the way, of course you know those books were stolen by some customs and excise officers of the king Birhambir. But they were brought back by the great devotion of Srinivasa Acharya, and so those books have been spread everywhere and copied and then published and then printed and then translated by Srila Prabhupada into English, French, German, Spanish, Italian, all the languages of the world. And now those books are on the shelves everywhere we see. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. That is the Brihat Mridanga. This Mridanga, if you beat it, only people can hear for a few hundred meters. But these books, they are the Brihat Mridanga. They go everywhere, and when people open them, this kirtan is recorded and coming out from the book. So Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur called the book printing, the printing of books, Brihat Mridanga, and it should be beaten, and that means those books should be distributed everywhere for the benefit of the world. So then, in the year 1596, our Srila Jiva Goswami Pad became unmanifest from this world and entered into the Nitya Lila of Radha Krishna to serve them eternally in his Turupa Vilas Manjari. Shri Vilas Manjari ki jai, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad ki jai, Tidiya Abhibhav Titi Mahamotava ki jai, Jai Gaur Premanande, Hari 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 So we started a bit late today because we have all been out on the Harinam Sankirtan with the people of Berlin and from all over Europe. But tomorrow is a Sunday program which starts at what time? 4 o'clock. So we'll come here tomorrow at 4 o'clock and all together we'll be honoring, celebrating the appearance day of Saptam Goswami Sachidananda Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai! Gaur Premanande! Hari! So everyone please come promptly at 4 o'clock here tomorrow for the Sunday program. So we'll sing one kirtan. You've been sitting for a long time, so you can stand up.
Mon teléfono.
No, que lo necesito.
Yes, everyone, please come in this room. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare